If you're going to have a cabin crew interview, today I'm going to give you the 10 most commonly asked questions by airlines around the world, along with tips on how to answer them. Hi, how are you? I'm Romulo Gutierrez. This is Flight Deck Briefing. Today I'm going to tell you the 10 questions that, for sure, if you're applying for cabin crew at any airline in the world, you'll have to answer, and I'll give you all the tips. So take note, because everything's going to work out for you to take off on your journey. The most common first question is, tell me a little about yourself, okay? When you answer this, 2 important tips. First, never let your answer go on for more than 2 minutes. So, being concise is important. In aviation, that's extremely relevant. 2 minutes to answer, or let's say half the time you talk a bit about yourself personally, and the other half you can mention some important professional qualities that fit aviation. So, for example, I'm going to an interview at Air France. And then they ask me, tell me a little about yourself. I could say, good afternoon, how are you? I'm Romulo Gutierrez. I'm 46 years old. I'm passionate about life. I really love nature. I'm really into water sports. I love watching a good TV series. Currently, I live alone. I live in the city of Sao Paulo, Brazil, and I've already worked for 3 different airlines. Then I start introducing myself professionally. I worked as a flight attendant at LATAM Brazil, where I worked for 2 years and was recognized as one of the best flight attendants, serving on international flights in 2019 and 2020. Then I give a brief professional introduction. Everything I'm telling you here is just as an example, but it's so you can understand. Talk about yourself. 2 minutes. You need to talk a little about your persona, about yourself as an individual, about you as a human being. It's important. After all, just a side note, cabin crew are usually people who, when they're tired and worn out from work, tend to distance themselves from their job. It's one of the professions where we're going to have one of the fields where we'll see the highest number of leaves of absence due to mental health issues, okay? Mental health conditions. So, showing this side of personal balance is essential, beyond just answering about the profession. The second question that's going to come up, let's go. I'll give you all the tips. Why do you want to work as cabin crew? What's your reason for pursuing this? Why are you interested in this? So, here's my tip about the 3 whys, okay? So, give 2 technical reasons and 1 interpersonal reason, all right? I can give 2 technical reasons. The first, why do I want to work as cabin crew? Well, the first reason is that I've been preparing for this moment for 4 years. In these 4 years, I studied 3 languages. I studied English, I studied Spanish, and now recently I've been studying German. So it's been a journey for some time now, and I've been preparing myself, so that's one of the reasons. The second reason, then you bring in another more technical factor. It's that I completed the training for the flight attendant course in London for 1.5 years. I managed to learn a lot of important things, and I really understood that this is my profession, it's my calling. 2 technical factors, 1 behavioral factor. And another important point is that I feel excited, enthusiastic about serving. I like being with people from different cultures, and that's why this position, for example at Lufthansa, is so important to me, and that's why I want to work as a flight attendant. So, you can answer exactly along these lines and, of course, I'm giving examples here. You'll choose what is most important for your personality. Shall we go to the third question? Let's go to the third one. Why do you want to work at our airline? Now the question is more focused on the company itself. When you know that you will be asked about this, right? If I'm taking part in a selection process at Alitalia, an Italian airline, I'm going to study a bit about the company's culture. I'll try to understand a bit about the company's history, about its future plans, so I can give my answer. It's no use if you, for example, say, look, Alitalia, I would like to work at this company because it's a model for Europe. It wants to be the best European airline and it wants to increase international flights by up to 20%, and I would like to be in this company. So when you show that you simply memorized the company's characteristics, that's not cool. You have to connect the company's characteristics to your own. Let me give you an example, okay? Look, I would like to work at this company for a very simple reason. I'm a very resilient and strong person. I like going through challenges and learning from them. And I noticed that Alitalia, in its, for example, 50 years of operation, is a company that has faced all kinds of problems, but it has always managed to bounce back and today is a benchmark in the European market. That's one of the reasons why I would like to work at Alitalia, because I'm someone who believes, doesn't give up, and can bounce back, just like the company has done several times throughout its history. So try to bring something from your personality that connects you to the airline. Shall we move on to the fourth question? I'm going to give you all 10, okay? This is a masterclass for you. Before I continue, if you suddenly want to do a mock, a job interview simulation for cabin crew, you can contact me at this WhatsApp number right here, which is the international code 5511 number 977065417. There's a link in the first comment. You can just click it and message me on WhatsApp. The prices for the simulation services are low for Flight Deck Briefing subscribers. There are new videos here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. So, I'm counting on you to subscribe and give it a like. Fourth question. How would you handle a passenger complaint on board during the flight? Okay. So, a bad answer would be, I would handle it very calmly, with composure. I would try to listen to the passenger, understand what I could do for them at that moment. That's an answer that doesn't really have any practical effect. And during a cabin crew interview, you need to bring practical effects to your answers. What's my tip? A short theoretical answer and a practical example using the STAR method. I could say, look, normally I would handle it calmly, trying to assist the passenger in the best way possible. I've never worked as cabin crew, but at the language school where I was a teacher, there was a situation where then I described the situation. For example, a student's father was very upset because the student performed well below average. My task was to sit down with this father, talk to him, show him the evaluation, and show everything the student had learned. And from there, I took action, meaning I started to message him weekly through the school's app, showing all the students' progress and the student's development. And the result was that the student was able to improve his performance and raise his grades. And that's how I see it. Every time I deal with someone's dissatisfaction, I try to understand and create an action plan, just like I would if I received a complaint from a passenger on board. So, this is just a fictional example, but it's so you understand that you need to have a modus operandi, a way to solve things. Fifth question, this one will come up. Tell me your biggest weakness, your weak point. Simple answers, okay? Or rather, simple tips. 3 tips. First one, real weaknesses. Don't make up things that you're not. Any international airline conducts psychological tests. So if you say, for example, that a weakness of yours is a lack of organization, but the test shows that you're actually very organized, the people on the recruitment team are going to be like, wait, what happened here? They'll find it strange, okay? So mention real weaknesses. Second tip, mention weaknesses that you have worked on or are working to improve. So I can say, look, to work as a cabin crew member, I have a weakness. I'm a bit more anxious in certain situations. And to improve that, I go to therapy with a psychologist and also practice yoga. So bring up ways you're working to improve your weakness, okay? And the third point, when talking about weaknesses, try to mention weaknesses that won't interfere with your duties as cabin crew, okay? So you can't mention weaknesses that will get in your way. That's another important tip. Now let's move on to the 6th question. How will being a flight attendant or working as cabin crew affect your personal and professional life? So, just a reminder, for those who work as crew members in aviation, we have to understand that it's a job based on shifts. It's a job where our home exists, but one moment we're in Rio de Janeiro, another moment we're in London, another time we're in Tokyo, and then, well, you know. In Budapest, for example, basically, we're in a different place all the time. Yeah, so it's important for you to show that your decision is strong, that it's well established. So if someone asks me about this, I say, look, when it comes to affecting my personal and professional life, it's something I've already discussed a lot with my family. My wife also has a pretty itinerant job. She works on a cruise ship, so it's something that's already common in our family culture. So, affecting my personal life isn't going to happen, especially because during my time off and on my schedule, my family and I will always be together. And professionally, I've been studying for a long time. I've been looking for references, and I really dream about this, so it's a very solid choice on my part. So they want to understand if you can handle having an itinerant lifestyle. I'll say it again, cabin crew are the professionals in the world who suffer the most from psychological illnesses. Okay? The stress, the burnout. So it's important for you to show that you know exactly what you want. Seventh question that will come up. What did you do to prepare for a career working as cabin crew? What did you do to get ready for this role? All right. When you get this question, try to tell your story briefly and quickly, in 1 minute, 2 minutes at most, about the whole journey you took to get here. Okay? So I could say, look, the journey for me to choose this career and be here in this selection process today has been 2 years, where, at first, I started studying. For example, let's suppose I'm going to work at JAL, the Japanese airline. So I could say, look, for 2 years I started studying Japanese. That was the first step in my career. Second, I've been living in Japan for 2 years, and to pursue this position here at JAL, I've been working directly in customer service, precisely to better understand the language and the culture. From there, I took my 6-month course to become a flight attendant, and after that, I started applying to all the selection processes. And today, I'm happy to be here participating. So, they want to understand if you've built a path. Any candidates who want to work as cabin crew, very suddenly, are usually not approved because they're not sure or haven't built a trajectory. The 8th question, be careful with the 9th and 10th for those of you still watching the video. What would you do if you had to work with someone you really don't like? What would you do if you had to work with someone you don't like? The answer is simple. You have to mention things like respect, professional quality, respecting differences, and that the work would still get done. And if you have a brief experience to share, you can tell it. So, the answer. Look, I've actually worked with people before that I didn't have a good personal relationship with, but professionally I got along with them. I helped them at work, and they also worked with me. After all, maybe we're not friends, but we have to be good work partners. And I always try to respect people's boundaries, and I also make sure they respect mine. And at the end of the day, I can work with anyone as long as there is mutual respect. So, that's really easy for me. That's the kind of answer they're looking for. 9th question, why should we hire you? Or, why are you the best candidate? Why should we hire you? That's an excellent question. Usually, in international airlines, this question is asked to candidates who performed well in the interview. I could even say it's a sign of approval, a sign that you did well in the interview. And then you'll use the 3 strengths technique. What is the 3 strengths technique for answering? Why should we hire you? A technical strength, a behavioral strength of yours, and a strength that connects you to the airline. A technical strength, for example, look, let me give you an example of an answer. You should hire me for 3 reasons. Technical strength. First, I speak more than 4 languages, and since I know your company flies all over the world, I know I can contribute a lot. Behavioral strength. The second reason you should hire me is that I am a patient, calm person and I can resolve conflict situations, just as I have done in my previous jobs, always staying calm and handling things smoothly. So, in complicated situations on board, I'll be able to help. And a strength related to the company, a connection with the company. I also noticed that here at British Airways, the most important thing for you is to respect diversity and the culture of other peoples, and I am passionate about culture. I'm a history student, so I feel a strong connection with this core value of British Airways, and that's why you should hire me. So, you're really going to sell yourself well with this question. And the 10th question, which will definitely come up in your job interview, actually, in your cabin crew interview, to be more precise, is how would you deal with a difficult passenger? How would you deal with a difficult passenger? You're going to use 2 important pillars for your answer. Pillar 1, the passenger experience. Pillar 2, which is flight safety. Remember that both pillars are equally important. They carry the same weight, one is not more important than the other, okay? So, you could say, look, if I had to deal with a difficult passenger, first of all, I would try to assist them, understand them, listen to them, and create the best possible experience. If that's not possible because it threatens flight safety, then flight safety comes first. I would explain the procedures, show them why things are done this way or in this situation, and, well, count on their understanding. If I couldn't count on that, I would definitely ask for help from my team and the chain of command. The cabin chief could help me so we could resolve the conflict in the best way possible. And you answered all the cabin crew questions really well. I'm sure it's going to work out, and I left an extra video here for you. Look! Go check it out. It'll help you a lot. Great preparation. I'm rooting for you. Take care and see you next time. Bye-bye.